Hello, everybody. Welcome to NJ Thrive's Small Business Webinars. Today is Tuesday, January 9th, and you are attending our weekly webinar created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. I am your host, Uzma Sheikh. Welcome to our webinars, and we are America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network, which is what the acronym NJSBDC stands for. And the program is powered by the Small Business Administration, SBA, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. And those things are no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one that you're attending, and exclusive small business resources. If you look at the map on the right, it's the map of New Jersey, state of New Jersey, and all the counties that are in New Jersey are divided and you can see them. However, wherever you see the small SBDC logos is where our regional centers are located. So if you happen to be in one of those counties or nearby and you'd like to attend in person, then I certainly recommend that you check out njsbdc.com and make a plan to visit. If you are new here and you're attending this webinar, thank you so much for joining us. If you have been attending these webinars, we welcome you. Thank you for your support. Always we appreciate it. Just if you'd like, this is, if you'd like to network and get to know your peers that are here attending, then I recommend that you go in the chat, you let us know who you are, what you do, or what you're trying to do, as this webinar is to get registrations done for your small business. So what your plan is, you don't have to go in detail, just enough to make conversation. And if you'd like to share anything else, I always say you never know who you'll find, your next partner, investor, supporter, cheerleader. So that always helps. Okay, so this webinar that you're attending today is our 8th session in the series, How to Register Your Business with $0 NJSBDC support. It's a series that we created to provide startup assistance. Those are the, excuse me, startup assistance. Those are the keywords. If you are already in business, then this webinar may not be the right fit for you. However, if you're already in business and trying to create another, LLC or startup, then yeah, you're in the right place. But if you have no idea, you're an entrepreneur who, you'd like to be an entrepreneur, you'd like to start and grow, then yes, again, this is the right place. We have a couple of headlines. So on the agenda, we have a couple of headlines. Then we have our presentation and then Q&A. All the headlines that I share right now will be shared in the chat in a moment, right after I'm done sharing my screen. Keeping in mind, some of these headlines may not be relevant for you if you're an aspiring entrepreneur. However, if you know someone in business or if you just think it's an interesting read, then feel free to explore further. So first one was published just yesterday by NJEDA. They are supporting advanced growth of artificial intelligence industry companies in New Jersey. Recently announced AI Hub at Princeton University, powered by the NJEDA, will enable growth of AI in New Jersey. It's following last month's announcement of Governor Phil Murphy and Princeton University that EDA will collaborate to establish a hub. As AI industry gains momentum in New Jersey heading into 2024. And there's definitely much more information. So, for example, initial development will be supported with $250,000 in planning funds. The hub will bring together researchers, industry leaders, startup companies, other collaborators, angel match program that has found success, things like that. So definitely an interesting read. Definitely much more information in here that I recommend that you go into on your own time if you'd like. The second is from a press release from SBA. SBA Growth Accelerator Fund competition opens January 8th, yesterday, to expand and strengthen its national innovation ecosystem. Organizations will compete in 2 stages for $50,000 to $200,000 prizes. Will award up to $3 million in stage 1 prizes. Let's see, the competition offers this prize money, and it's to National Innovation Support Ecosystem to advance small business research and development, R&D. So this is related to SBIR, STTR, and it's a 10-year Strong Growth Accelerator Fund Competition, GAFC. Here you can see what the companies or what the theme areas are. Not companies, excuse me. There is a pre-application webinar, January 16th, 2024 at 2 p.m. and another webinar January 31st. The registration links can be found there. Pretty interesting. The third is recent regulations and resources. So this is relevant for laundromats. Look for your labor compliance package, materials to help ensure they're in compliance, labor laws in 2024, all the requirements are shared. And fourth is also from business.nj.gov. Employers, please stay off the wall. With outstanding liabilities for violations of wage, benefit, or tax laws that are ineligible for public contracting opportunities when they are added to the workplace accountability labor list. That is what the wall is. Any business whose name appears on the wall is barred from public contracting with the state, county, or local governments until they pay their liabilities in full and their business name is removed from the wall. Interesting. All right, moving on. These were the headlines. I will share them in the chat. All right, things to keep in mind, housekeeping rules that we like to follow and we ask you to follow. If you have any questions, please share them in the Q&A box. I see some questions coming in. Wonderful. You'll see chat box, Q&A box. Chat box we like to reserve for any comments, any ideas, any interaction. Q&A box is strictly for questions. We will have a Q&A session in the end. That's why we want to reserve that for Q&A, and we want to address them. So make sure you're putting them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. If you'd like to receive the slides that our presenter will present with, then please complete a brief survey and you'll receive the slides at the end when you complete the survey. All right, enough of me. Next is Vanessa Schwartz, one of our wonderful NJSBDC consultants. This is our 8th session, and Vanessa's been doing great with our business registrations. This is your guide. Vanessa, welcome, and thank you as always. Please share your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, let me share my screen. We'll get started. All right, so thank you again, Uzma, for that introduction. My name is Vanessa Schwartz. I've been with the NJSBDC now for about 5.5 years. And today we're going to talk about what to know about starting your new business and creating your LLC. So we like to always say, whether you're someone who is ready to take their hobby to the next level, or you're interested in pursuing your side hustle, or maybe a professional in your own space and believe now is the time to venture out into entrepreneurship, taking the time to educate yourself on the process, the costs, the legal requirements, tax consequences. All of these are critical and really can make a difference in terms of your success. So here at the SBDC, we're here to mentor, to guide, to assist at no-cost counseling and little to no cost educational programming to help you not only start your business, but grow your business. So today we're going to talk a little bit, just roughly, just to touch base on some of the business structures that are available to you when you form your business. A little bit about the formation and the registration process, in particular for the LLC. We're going to focus primarily on the LLC in this presentation. A little bit about some of the state regulations and tax requirements as a business owner, funding and cash management as business owners, and then some additional needs that may come up as business owners and as entrepreneurs, and how we at the SBDC can assist you with respect to future opportunities and business growth. So the first business structure I want to just address is what you might hear often is called the sole proprietorship. The sole proprietorship is basically the least cumbersome, least structured type of business structure that you can have. It's really, the requirement is that you go to your county clerk's office and you can file for a trade name. That trade name is going to be unique in your county. It's relatively inexpensive. There's a one-time fee, about $50, $60. You obtain a trade name, and you are then allowed to use your social security number as your tax ID. Now, very often now, we are advising, and we see more and more sole proprietors deciding to go for that tax ID number, the EIN from the IRS, in order to represent their sole proprietorship. It's a way to protect yourself. It's a way to protect your identity so that you're not using your social security number in all your transactions, if necessary, when filling out, say, your W-9s. The EIN is free. You can get it right from the IRS website. And again, you don't have to get an EIN. The sole proprietorship does allow for social security number. Your personal bank account is perfectly fine and acceptable to use as a sole proprietor. You can transact business, receive your fees, sell your goods, deposit that money straight into your personal bank account, no problem. The tax filing requirements as a sole prop is very, very simple. We use a Schedule C attachment to your personal income tax return. The Schedule C will reflect your sales, any expenses, and ultimately your net income, which will flow up through, pass through straight into your personal tax return. There's no legal separation between the assets of the owner and the business. You are one and the same, but unfortunately with that comes no liability protection. So if you were to have some sort of an issue, a debt issue, a lawsuit, your personal assets could be at risk in that there is no differentiation between the business and you, the person. So next up in terms of structure is your limited liability company and then your corporation. The LLC is a nice interim, kind of between that corporate business structure and that sole proprietorship with no liability protection. Right in between, you have the LLC. It is relatively inexpensive to form, costs $128 to form, but there is a $75 per year dues to maintain your LLC in good standing. You are required to have a separate tax ID number specifically assigned to your LLC. Your business name will be unique in the state of New Jersey, not just the county. It must be unique for New Jersey. And you are required to have a separate business banking account. There's no commingling of funds. Once you open up your LLC, you'll go to the bank. You'll present your certificate of formation. You'll show your letter from the IRS with your EIN, and that's your tax number, and you will set up a business bank account. All transactions that take place the funds would get deposited into your business bank account, and then you as the owner of the business can withdraw money as you need, and take a draw and transfer it to your personal income, personal bank account. But all initial transactions must be done within the business bank account. This keeps your personal assets separate from your business, and it helps in that liability protection, and gives you that separation of a business entity versus you, the person. The nice thing about an LLC is that when you are the only owner of the LLC, we call that a single member, single payer LLC. Member means owner in LLC terminology. You are actually permitted to use that Schedule C to file your income tax return. So even though you're not a sole proprietor, you are the LLC. If you're a single member, you're the only person in your company, the federal government allows you to choose the Schedule C tax filing option, which makes for very simple tax filing. If you are more than one owner within your LLC, you are most typically going to be filing that Form 1065. That's what most partnerships would use for a tax return filing. You're not a partnership. I'm not trying to confuse terminology, but you can choose to be taxed as a, oops, somebody is in my site. Oh, what happened here? Sorry about that. And what's next? So then now moving on to the, oh, and then I'm sorry, you are also can be choose to as an LLC, you can choose to be taxed as a corporation. That's a Form 1120. So the federal government allows the LLC owner or owners to choose its taxation method, and you are given the limited liability. So moving on to the corporation, it's definitely the strongest, probably business structure in terms of liability protection, but it does come with some more bells and whistles and requirements, and it is a bit more complicated. You have to establish bylaws. You need to create your board of directors. There are required shareholder meetings. Taxes are much more complicated for a corporation. There is a separate tax return for the company. The company will be subject to a corporate tax rate, and then any profits following that are then distributed to shareholders to be taxed again at the shareholder level in the form of the dividends. So you are basically, as a small business, especially if you're one person, you are being taxed twice, at the corporate tax rate and at the shareholder level. Now, there are ways to, there is another option. The next slide here is that you can, as a corporation, file for S Corp status. It basically, you'll see there are some restrictions. There are differences between a C Corp and an S Corp in terms of this. There are some limitations within the S Corp. I think it can only be up to 100 shareholders, and the just common stock is allowed in that respect. And you can look that up. We're not going to get into that here. But as an S Corp, what's nice is that the tax situation changes. You are now avoiding double taxation. S Corps are allowed to pass through, allowing the profits to be then passed to the owners of the company to pay taxes on the shares. So there's no corporate tax rate once you apply for S Corp status. Now, LLC owners are also can be choose to be taxed as an S Corp. That has to do with a conversation you would have with your accountant. Typically, when we talk about LLCs, owners, they obtain their profits and their pay through the profits. They're not employees of their company, they're owners. So in that respect, you are responsible for self-employment taxes. you'll hear, and again, something you would want to discuss with your accountant at a certain level of profitability. It may be more tax advantageous for you to choose to be taxed as an S corp because there are some now some changes that you can undergo, and that you can now become an employee of your own company, put yourself on payroll. It'll change how your personal tax requirements will change somewhat, and it could be, again, more tax advantageous. So that is something that you would discuss it with your accountant. So moving on, we're going to go back now to the LLC. We're going to talk about the limited liability company. So we say at the SBDC is that you want to get it right the first time. You want to know what you're doing. We are here to hold your hand through the process. We will sit with you. We could do it virtually. We will talk you through the process of forming and registering your business. Very often, you'll see that people may pay a third party to do it, and then they're not quite sure what was done, and then there's confusion. And we want to make sure that you are in control of how your business is formed, and that you're understanding of all the terminology as the business owner. And we understand that it can be a little tricky, or there might be things that you're not quite aware of, which is why sign up for counseling, get a business counselor to sit with you, and we will do it at no cost. Make sure that it's all done correct, in a correct way. So the process is typically, it's a 3-step process. You will all find what you need for the most part at the njportal.com. In that is where you'll form the business, and that's where you'll register the business. Separately, we'll go to the irs.gov, and we will go and apply online for your EIN. But for the most part, if you think of it as a 3-step process, where IRS would be one step where we get your tax ID. At the njportal.com, we would go to form the LLC. And then once that is complete, we would then go to take that LLC, take your tax ID, and register to transact business, which is a separate application within the portal. So those are the 3 steps. Now, it costs $128. That's in the formation part of the process, in that step. But once we complete that, then when we go to register, there is no cost to register. So we want to make sure you understand how to do it, what your requirements are. Basically, as an LLC owner, your only additional costs moving forward to keep your LLC in good standing is the $75 a year to maintain your LLC. That's done right around the year anniversary of your formation, and you would go right online to the portal. It's called filing an annual report. There's nothing to do except put your credit or debit card in, pay your $75, and you're done. And in the process, when you get your certificate of formation, these are documents that will make sure that you understand, why they're important, why you need to keep them accessible. You will need your certificate of formation and your letter from the IRS to open up your bank account. And also, if you're more than one owner in an LLC, you do need an operating agreement. So these are the types of things that we make sure that you understand and you recognize. And bookkeeping is a big piece of it as well. So we'll discuss bookkeeping options. And also the SBDC has done some nice work in terms of some learning labs where we'll do QuickBook classes. So it's stuff to keep in mind for the future. So this slide is just to reiterate that once you're done forming, whether it's even the sole proprietor, the corporation, or even the LLC, or any business structure you form, remember there is that other step to register. Now, the reason why I'm bringing it up again is that sometimes some of you may have had a third party help you with the formation of your business. I have noticed that very often these third parties do not go and take that step to register. Then you're not in the eyes of New Jersey permitted to transact your business. And I find that odd that you'll pay somebody to form for you and then not be aware that unless you take your new business structure and take it to that to the Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services and register, then you're not really done. So it gets a little confusing, but it does not have to be. We review all that with you. We make sure all your steps are done and that you are good to go. And then starting in 2024, there's a new requirement, and we'll make sure you have the information you need. But within 90 days of forming your LLC, the federal government would now like you to file a beneficial ownership information report. That's the link where you can go find out more about it, and the link to go and get it done. They are, I believe, giving new LLCs 90 days to log in. Basically, they're looking for the owners of the business and probably the percent shares of the ownership. So what you need to have, well, in order to form a business, you need to have a unique name in New Jersey for an LLC. And this is a link. We go through it, make sure that your name is available. Once again, you need your tax ID number from the IRS. It's free. You'll need some industry codes. You'll be able to look that up to see what in particular your business is doing. For statistical purposes, the state would like to know, what types of businesses are being formed, and it'll classify you in a couple of different ways. You'll need a registered agent. You can be your own registered agent. You can use your name, your contact, your address. But if you would prefer not to, you can hire a registered agent. And there are a number of business struck entities in the state that serve as registered agents. And so as long as they are recognized as a registered agent, you can use their name. There's a cost associated with that. The state basically needs to have a name on file of an address and an email of who they may contact in the event that they have to contact somebody, a point person from your company, your business. So it does have to be a physical location. Again, if you have more than one member, more than one owner of an LLC, you will need an operating agreement. Doesn't have to be done by a lawyer, doesn't have to be notarized per se, but you do need to have something in writing to express what the agreement is in terms of your shares, your contributions, and if you were to dissolve the business tomorrow, what the distribution would look like, of assets would look like. The online process through the formation piece of forming the business, they'll take a credit or a debit or an e-check. So you want to have your credit or debit card available. And then you'll need to know the names, addresses, and social security numbers, as well as what the ownership percentages will be for all the members prior to forming and registering your business. You'll also be given the opportunity to choose how you wish to be taxed. We talked about that. Those will be your choices when you're going through the process. You'll need to know if the sale of your goods and/or services are subject to state sales tax, and if you are eligible to make exempt purchases. So we'll go over that with you. We'll make sure that you understand. We have the handbook for New Jersey of what's subject to sales tax, what isn't. Most goods are typically, you would think of a good as being subject to sales tax, but clearly there are exceptions, such as clothing. Certain basic clothing, and then services are generally exempt, except there are exceptions there as well. So, housekeeping you would think of as a service, but it is subject to state sales tax. So if you have any questions on how that works, how to remit your sales tax, whether or not you're eligible to make exempt purchases, if you're basically in a retail situation where you're purchasing wholesale and selling retail, we can go over all of that with you. You need to know if your business requires any additional registrations from New Jersey or certifications, licenses. the insurance thresholds, we talk about that. We'll direct you to the Business Action Center. We'll look it up. We'll see, for example, home health aides require a license. General contractors, handymen, they require additional registrations. So there are certain industries and businesses out there that do require, food handling, cosmetology. There's a number of different businesses that do require some additional paperwork, and so we'll make sure that you're aware of that and help you with that. And you want to make sure you find a bank that you can open your business bank account, hopefully pay no monthly fees, or have some sort of system where you're not being charged anything monthly. So I always say maybe start with where you're currently banking, see if there's any way that they can offer, see if they have business banking, and if there's any kind of a program or benefit to opening up a bank account that won't cost you anything. These are all the links of some of the things that we spoke about. This is for licensing, additional licensing and registrations. This is the handbook for sales tax requirements. If you want to know whether or not your good or service is subject to sales tax. There are income tax requirements, both at the federal and state level. These self-employed individuals, you will have to look into paying possibly your estimated income taxes quarterly. That's something that you can either talk to an accountant, or you can look into either at the IRS website or the state website. And this is the state one that'll talk about your how to set up estimated income tax payments. If you have questions about hiring employees, there's some links here. There's the payroll, the W-2, W-4, employee information, or independent contractors. And there's some information here about if you were to hire through using the W-9 1099. And then if you have questions about insurance or workers' compensation, we can address that as well. So this is just separate. The SBDC, we're here to assist, mentor, guide, questions about your startup funds. How much money do you need to start your business? What do you need to keep your business going and flowing? How much of your own money do you have to contribute versus do you need additional sources of capital to get going? This type of business planning is something that we would love to sit down and talk to you about, help you flush it out, give you some counsel on how to prepare for financing if you need to go see a lender, and maybe look for some startup funds, maybe find some SBA loans for working capital. We'll go through your plan, we'll help you with your projections, and really try to educate you as much as we can on some basic financial statements understandings, income, balance, and cash flow. Those are the three basic income statements, financial statements that are important to understand. Certainly, we want you to be profitable. You want to be profitable. So, at the end of the day, it's all about taking in more than you're spending and understanding the flow of cash in and out of your business. And then bookkeeping. If you're neat and orderly and organized in how you keep your books, chances are you'll do better in the long run, whether you use QuickBooks, an Excel spreadsheet, or a notebook for that matter. I think if you're organized and understand your cost structure, you are more likely to be profitable and grow profitably. So sometime there may be times in your business where you'll need an accountant, a lawyer, insurance agent, lender. Basically what we want to, we'll be honest with you in counseling you. We're not here to give you private or personal accounting advice or legal counsel. We'll tell you when it is appropriate, or give our best judgment of when it might be most appropriate for you to hire an accountant, retain a lawyer. usually insurance agents are very familiar with the different industries that are out there and could better really help you understand how much coverage you might need. We have relationships with lenders, happy to make introductions and prepare you for financing. And we have counselors who just focus on marketing and social media. So if your question is on that, we can assign you to somebody who would just be able to maybe brainstorm with you on those topics. We also assist in obtaining state certifications. If you're interested in becoming a woman or minority-owned business, there's veterans, disabled veteran, small business enterprises, and the LGBTQ, plus a state certification for businesses. This helps potentially if you're interested in procurement and government contracts. And again, lending, and NJEDA, great resource that funnels grants, programs, low interest loans for businesses through the state. If you need assistance in filling out those applications, we can offer some assistance there as well. Okay, and then here we're going to just explain that the top is this QR code here on the top. It's if you're not in business right now and you want to get formed and a business and go through the process, and we'll walk you through it like we discussed. This would be the best QR code here, and this link. And then and just with the links, you will get a copy of the slides once you fill out the survey, so all links will be clickable and you'll be able to explore at your leisure. And then down here, if you're already in business and you want to speak to a business mentor about any of the other categories, probably best to scan the bottom and use that link there. And then with that, we can turn it over to questions.
All right, so we do have quite a few questions that we should get to. Right before that, I just want to remind everyone before we get into our Q&A session that this webinar is being recorded. It will be published on our website. The link has been shared in the chat, as well as our YouTube channel. It will be shared there in 1 to 2 business days, so just keep an eye out there. And if you'd like to receive the slides that Vanessa just presented on, then please go to the link for the survey. And once you complete that Google Form survey, you can, a link will appear for you to click on, and then you can download and view the presentation. All right, so as Vanessa said, the first link here is to talk with Vanessa strictly for registrations. Second is for already in business counseling, and just basically Vanessa has explained that we can help you with other things such as QuickBooks, marketing, finance, anything related, business plan related as well. Just a reminder for everybody as well, I promise last reminder before we get into Q&A, is that we can advise you. We are just not legally allowed to physically do the work for you for any counseling session, whether it's for startup or like marketing or business plan. For example, if it's a business plan, we can certainly advise you and guide you, but we cannot actually write the business plan for you. Just an example there. All right, moving into the Q&A. We'll go through them in the order that we received them. So the first one is from Rebecca, who asks, can I use a UPS address to register my business if I do not have a physical address exclusively for business?
Okay, so there's going to be a couple places in the process where you need an address. You are allowed to use a virtual, if you don't have a physical address and you're a home-based business and you don't want to use your home address, you are allowed to use a virtual business address for your physical business address. And I believe also you can use a post office box. However, the registered agent cannot, that address must be either your home address or a hired registered agent. So you cannot use the PO box in that respect with the registered agent. And then with the IRS, when they ask for your address, it's where it's going to be, you know, it's where the IRS recognizes that you live. So it should be your home address.
All right. The second question is from Deborah. Deborah says, I completed a business formation for my LLC a few years ago and was able to get a tax ID number. I was not aware that I also had to register the company. A few days ago, I attempted to get my business certificate and received information that my business was expunged. I called the state and was advised I needed to register the business. I attempted to do so online and I received a message saying I am attempting to register a business that is no longer active. Where do I go from here?
Okay, so click on make an appointment with me and we'll clear it all up. Basically, it sounds like maybe if you haven't been paying your annual dues, it'll show that it's not an active business. So it could be that you're not up to date with your annual dues as well. So all of this can be resolved. If you want us to walk you through it, I would make an appointment and we can do that. But yes, you do have to register the business, but you're not going to be able to do it if it doesn't recognize that the business is in good standing. And typically it's not in good standing when you're not up to date on your dues.
All right, so Deborah, please go scan the QR code, the first QR code that you see where it says talk with Vanessa, or you can also visit the link njsbc.com/startup. Next question is from Anonymous, and they ask, how does a trade name registration with the county relate to a true business name registered with the state? Are they exclusive?
So this is the difference, and it gets tricky because of the terminology, because we will use the name, we'll interchange trade name. So when I refer to a trade name with the county, you're applying with the county to represent yourself under a trade name. It's not considered a legal business name necessarily. It's considered well, that's where it costs $50 to $60. You get your trade name. That's what you can call yourself. And that's it. Now, when you go to and create a legal business name through an LLC or a corporation, you have an option of, say, naming yourself. If I were Vanessa Schwartz LLC, and that's my legal business name. But I don't want to market myself as that. I want to market myself as Vanessa's Jewelry. And so I can create what's called a DBA, a doing business as. Sometimes it's called an alternate business name. In New Jersey, it's called filing an alternate business name. But people will use the word trade name, and you may see trade name. And in that respect, they're referring to an additional name that you would go by under your LLC or your, I'll use LLC as an example. I'm not sure how that would work on the corporate side, but under your LLC umbrella, you would have this alternate business name, trade name, doing business as. That is, again, not your legal business name, but you can also refer to yourself as that and can represent yourself as that, even though your legal business name is Vanessa Schwartz LLC. On the sole prop side, it's just a trade name that would be unique in the county. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of the difference between the two things.
All right. Hopefully that answers your question, Anonymous. If not, please feel free to expand on your question. A second question or another question from Anonymous is, so you can draw any funds to a business bank account to a personal bank account anytime?
Yes.
That was a question.
Yes, you have a business bank account. I just sold, I just provided a service, you paid me, you made the check out to my business account, deposited into my business account, and now I have to go food shopping. And so I'm going to withdraw the money and I'm going to go food shopping. So it's as the owner, you can pull and you can deposit as you need. If you need to invest in your own business, you can make a contribution, a personal equity, it's called an equity contribution into your business. You can invest in your business, do that, and then you can pull money as you need. Now, at the same time, you need to keep an income statement up going. You need to keep track of of what on the books is going to be your receipts from your sales, expenses related to your business, not your personal, expenses related to your business over the course of a period of time. And on paper, at the end of that, your sales less your business expenses are going to be your net income. And that number on the paper, the net income, is what you pay income taxes on. So you can take money in and out of your account as you need it, but you also have to make sure that you're keeping proper books and that ultimately when you go to pay your income taxes, it reflects the net income, which is your sales less your business, your revenue less any business expenses is net income.
Got it. Thank you. If I open an LLC and conduct different business types under the same LLC, do I require DBAs and separate DBAs?
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't. If you have an LLC and you can operate your businesses underneath there, even if they're different. Very often, people will form the DBAs. It costs $50 to form a DBA for 5 years. Again, in New Jersey, it's called filing an alternate business name. And you might want to do that when you want to have the flexibility to market yourself differently depending on the business line that you are engaging in. So if I'm a consultant and I consult on all different things, I'm very happy just to use my LLC umbrella, Vanessa's consulting business. I may consult on something here, I may consult on something that could be totally different. But if I have my jewelry business under my LLC and I don't want to go around marketing my jewelry under Vanessa's consulting because no one will know what the heck it is that I'm selling. So I may want to do a DBA called Vanessa's Jewelry so that when I walk around and I make a business card and I represent myself as a business that's selling jewelry, it's understood and you can do that. So you can create a number of DBAs. They cost money. It's not a lot, but it's $50 for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, you can renew it. Or if you just feel comfortable using your legal LLC name as to represent everything that you do, that's fine as well.
All right, thank you. Next question is from Anonymous. LLC taxation types. Will that be covered in another webinar? What is the difference that we know so it's best? So we know what is best.
No, well, I don't know that there's a webinar. Every once in a while, we might have a CPA or an accountant come on to talk about that. I can't think of one recently off the top of my head. I would make an appointment to speak with the counselor. You can make an appointment I can, we can go over it a little bit more clearly offline. And then in terms of what's best for you personally, it really will come down to your own personal, your tax bracket. If you're filing jointly, it might be something that you would discuss with your accountant. But just generally understanding that, because I went over that very quickly, and if you never heard it before, it sounds confusing. Just to like understand just the basic definition of each again, make an appointment with me and we can go over it.
All right, thank you. Question from Zachariah, who asks, for photography business delivering digital product, is there sales tax for service? Good question.
Yes. Okay, so photography is a great example of one of those real confusing businesses where some of it may be subject to sales tax and some of it may not be. So I always have to look this up. I want to say, yes, there is tax, and we can look it up very easily, and I could be, but I'm fairly certain that the product is subject to sales tax, the digital. And anytime there's a digital representation of an item that is normally subject to sales tax, when it's on the digital end of it, it's still subject to sales tax. So for example, if a book is, if I sell you a book, the book is subject to sales tax. If it's a digital and I submit it digitally, same thing. It'll have the same, it'll still be subject to sales tax. So to answer the question, I would highly recommend you look it up on that sales and use tax guide, but I'm fairly certain that it is.
Got it. Next question is from Megan, who asks, if you are already an established business, do you need to comply with the 2024 finsun.gov/BOI?
Thank you for asking that. I should have said that. That is so important. Yes, you do. And you have until you have 12 months. You have until December 31st, 2024 to get that done. They're giving all existing businesses a 12-month time frame to submit that. And I don't believe it's advertised enough. I don't know at some point who's going to get the word out, but this is now law. Anybody new forming does have to do it. LLCs, there are exceptions for other types of like public companies don't have to, but definitely LLCs. And yes, if you're already in business, you should go to that site and just file that report sometime now, between now and the end of the year.
If you don't mind expanding on that, Vanessa, what exactly is that? I don't think our audience will know about it. Or do you recommend a site to visit to read more about it, or?
Oh yeah, it's on the presentation here. Let's go there.
Perfect.
It's right here.
There we
So
go.
here it is. We can all look at it together. It's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Okay, very important. Official website of the United States government. Always look up here, look for the .govs, the .us, the NJ.govs. This is so important. I've been reading that there are some third-party actors out there that are trying to get in touch with now all the LLC owners and say, hey, give me all your information and pay me $500 and I'll take care of this report. Do not do that. Be very careful. I believe that because I have to do it myself. I have an LLC. You'll be able to, well, first of all, you can read more about what this is on this site. And to file, you'll click here. See, and here's the filing system. you want to do the beneficial ownership information, BOI reporting. Get started. And you'll see here, you're going to have two choices. You can either file online, and so you prepare and submit it right online here, or it looks like here you can use a PDF, you can prepare it, save it, go back to it, and then ultimately, I guess, submit it. So you could do web-based or PDF-based.
Got it.
So
All
that's
right,
what
there you go.
that's what that is. And the types of the reason this kind of came about is because, you know, LLCs have always been very loosely regulated. They're very independent. They're state, you know, they're kind of like state by state, and everything's done at the state level. Even when you go to register, you register with the state. The federal government has no concept of what's what, and to avoid, I think, fraud, money laundering, there's been a lot of, you know, LLCs that are formed to shield, you know, to hide profits and to do all sorts of criminal activity. This is the federal government's way of knowing who's who and what you own and what your percentage is and that sort of thing.
Okay, next question is from Nathan, who asks, I opened the sole member LLC for my daughter, but I realized that I need to include profit loss statement with me for tax filing. Is that allowed?
Can you say that again? I'm really sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I opened the sole member LLC for my daughter, but I realized that I need to include a profit and loss statement with me for tax filing. Is that allowed?
Well, I mean, I don't know how old your daughter is. Is your daughter on your tax return?
Yeah, that's something that I think will require a counseling session.
Yeah, that's a counseling session / accountant
The
question.
question, yeah, yep. Sorry, and can't help you right now, but please definitely register. Next question is from Anonymous, who asks, I have already gotten the virtual address for my business. However, I've yet to create the LLC. Once I have created the LLC, how long do I have to register the business with the state? I always thought it was registered when the LLC is created.
So you have 60, New Jersey wants you to register within 60 days. However, when we do it right away. It's just 1, 2, 3. So technically you can, that's why, like, if you have a third party do it for you, they give all the paperwork back. And then you're supposed to know that you have to register within at least 60 days. But we recommend that when you do it all together, you form, you register. Now, maybe a reason why you would wait is if you're not ready to transact business just yet, and you don't want to kind of get on the radar until you're ready to actually transact business. But most people, when they're ready to form their LLCs, they're ready to work. So I don't know, we're talking about a 60-day difference, but we recommend doing it right away.
Thank you. Our next question is from Daisy, who asks, I did, okay, let me, I did my registration company by irs.gov, and my EIN letter was error because it was in HTML. Now I am trying to open my account. It does not open with my information, as if I never created it. and I'm trying to call the number. I do not have the answer. How can I solve my situation?
So it's hard for me to understand exactly what happened here. So I would make an appointment, but when you get your EIN electronically from the IRS, after you're done with that application, it automatically generates the letter. And at that point, you have to either you have to print it out, or you have to download it, or both, and save it to your hard drive. And now you have it. If you don't do that at that moment, it's gone. You can't get that document back. There's no, it's not like the certificate of formation, the registration, you can go into the portal and you can pull it up. The IRS letter with your EIN is generated once in the online application. Now, if for some reason you did it and you didn't download it, you didn't print it, or something happened, you don't know where it is, you have to contact the IRS. It's a pain in the neck, but you have to call and you have to request you have to provide, I guess, some info, because it's a social security number. Like, it's just not something that you'll be able to, it's not floating around in a database. You'll have to give your information and speak to somebody, and then they will send out the proper documentation. I don't know if that specifically answers your question, but because I don't quite understand what happened in your situation, but I'm trying to explain what happens in the process of getting an EIN and how
No, I think that's what Daisy was asking. That was also my understanding, the way you answered it. That they didn't receive their EIN letter. All right. Next, so it's 1:04. We will take a couple more questions. And then we will close out. So, question from Anonymous. I registered an LLC for handmade gift items, but over the time, the need to change the nature of the business. The product will be related. Do I need to start the whole process again, even if I want to keep the name of the company?
Oh, because you're changing what you're doing with the company?
Yep.
No. You can keep the company and just, I mean, the business purpose might be different at this point, but that's okay. I mean, as long as whatever you're doing doesn't require any additional licensing or something above and beyond. The only thing that would be a little potentially tricky is, so if you were selling goods, gifts at subject to sales tax, and if you indicated on your registration that you were going to collect and remit sales tax, and now you're doing something such as tutoring, which doesn't require a collection of sales tax, you want to update your registration that you're no longer collecting sales tax, because once you indicate to the state that you are selling items or providing services that are subject to sales tax, they expect to hear from you each quarter. And if you're not doing that anymore, you have to let them know. Otherwise, they're going to wonder where you are, and you could get penalized. So that's the only thing that you could amend your registration to say you're no longer, but if you're still selling, if that's not the case, then don't worry about it. And if you have questions on how to do that, make an appointment.
Got it. Question from Elizabeth, who asks, if a business was registered, but nothing more was done, annual fees were not paid, the company is not active, but was not closed officially, would that be a problem?
Well, if you want to operate, it's a problem. You'll have to reinstate the company, pay your past dues, and that way you'll be in good standing. Or if it's just that you're not doing anything anymore with it and you never officially closed it. I mean, that happens all the time. It's not, people abandon their LLCs all the time. I'm not suggesting that you should. There is a proper way to close an LLC. It costs $128 to close your LLC. My understanding is when after several years of non-paying dues, you lose, somebody else can take your name. It's no longer an active, you really can't operate underneath it. And I don't know that much else happens. If you ever want to reinstate it and the name is still available, they ding you. You not only have to pay all your past dues, but you have to pay a penalty. And usually that's about 4 years in. But if you just kind of let it go, I don't want to suggest that, but people do that all the time. They'll just move on. I wouldn't want to have, if you had a tax ID, a kind of assigned to it, it's probably best to let everybody know that this business is not an operation, that we're closed, we're done, because eventually if someone else takes the name and then something happens, you're probably best off closing it. But the only problem is, they get you, is if you get to the point where you owe so much money and so many years have gone by and there's a penalty, you can't even close it without paying everything. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. That's just how it works.
All right, so that concludes our Q&A session. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us.
Thank you.
And now it is time for me to close out. So just bear with me for a couple of more minutes. I just want to show everybody where to register and which websites that we've been talking about all this time. So when you go, if you scan the QR code, if you wanted to talk to Vanessa, or if you went to the website that I was sharing the chat, njsbdc.com/startup, then this is the, excuse me, this is the website where it'll take you. It is legit. It is our website. This is where you register. Please, for any of our counseling, not only with Vanessa, but any of our counseling throughout our statewide program, throughout our network, our counseling is free and it is confidential. We all sign contracts, we all sign agreements as consultants, as members of the network, that any information that we deal with from our clients, they will be confidential. Registration is fast, easy, and free, confidential, free, effective. So, don't worry about that. This is our main website, njsbdc.com. I think our website, I know I am biased, but I think our website is a great resource, honestly, because we have so much information that if you just took 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to just go through this website, I think you would find a lot of different answers. We have, counseling and events, resources and data. We have blog posts, we have, testimonials. So here are the blog posts. And yeah, all our partners, so much information here. Now, if you would like to go to attend more events, then this is where you go. So number 1, webinars. The webinar that you're attending right now, you get the recording, and yes, you should definitely sign up for this newsletter. Where will it be stored? This is the website, njsmallbusinesshelp.com, NJ Thrives. This is where you go. All right, there's hundreds and hundreds of webinars that we've done till date on many different topics, such as marketing strategies, mastering Hispanic market trends, QuickBooks Online, SBIRSTR that we had mentioned earlier, how to get funding for a small business, the one that you just attended, for example. The next one is statewide events that I'd like to make you aware of. This is where you will get events for all the state of New Jersey through SBDC. So global compliance webinar, whether it's, online or if it's in person, if you have to pay a fee or if it's free, if it's live or if it's recorded. If it is in Spanish, that's another thing, Vanessa. We offer our counseling in Spanish, right? So if you are a Spanish speaker and you would like to receive counseling in Spanish, then please ask for that. If you would like to attend webinars in Spanish, then yes, we do have those available. For example, this one that is facilitated by NJSBDC at TCNJ. All right, so again, a great resource, and would, definitely suggest checking our website out. All right, so this event that we're having, this webinar that we're having, it is a webinar. It will be online. It's on Thursday, January 11th. Intro to SBIR STTR. This is part of our tech series. $2 million plus for your tech innovation for 0% equity. Now, I know you're attending this webinar that is for, how to register your business. So I'm not saying it's not a possibility. It could definitely happen, but maybe intro to SBIR, STTR grants might not be relevant for you at this stage. So this webinar, but there are many other webinars that we have in the tech series. So if you are in the tech space or in the AI space, whatever it is, tech and AI, same, almost synonymous in today's world. But yeah, feel free to attend, register, and I'll see you at the next event. So just a reminder, we are here to support you. We've helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow in our 45 years of history. And yeah, feel free to register, feel free to attend our webinars. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next webinar, either on Thursday or next Tuesday with Vanessa. All right, bye everybody. Take care.
Bye, thank
Stay
you.
safe.